Hi everyone, thanks for joining us. Just to let you know, this will be posted on YouTube afterwards, so if you don't want your video, please keep it turned off and keep your audio turned off until the end when we can start asking questions. So we've got Angela, our director, and she's going to give us an overview of what we've been talking about over the last couple webinars.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining us this afternoon. I'm just going to give you an overview, so I'm not going to go into great detail about each area, but afterwards Charlie will leave details, and any questions that haven't been answered that you've still got, you can contact Charlie and she'll answer them for you, or at least put you onto the right person that has the expertise on that area. So first of all, about Portugal. So Portugal in itself is a really, really nice country. It's got a lot of different areas to it. You've got like two main cities, which are Lisbon and Porto. So Porto is up north, a really up and coming city. Prices have risen there in the last 3 years and are rising pretty quickly. Then we've got Lisbon, a great historic city. Prices have quite peaked there at the moment, so you're not necessarily going to get a bargain there. And also they've stopped the golden visa there. You used to be able to get a golden visa if you was like not in Europe to be able to get a residency there. So I'm going to talk mainly about the Algarve, because the Algarve is where you're better off investing your money at the moment. And the Algarve is about 120 kilometres long, goes inland about 30 to 35 kilometres, so it's not a massive area. But what it does offer here is it's the third, Portugal itself is the third safest in the world, and the Algarve gives you the best weather in Portugal, so you get all the sunshine down here. And we have three main areas. We have the east, the central and the west. In the east it's more traditional, it's more laid back. You can get on a boat, go up to little islands, and it's like being in the Caribbean, a beautiful place to be. Central, we've got very lovely beaches, we've got the cliffs with the picturesque beaches, and very similar over in the west. And you've also got the nice big towns over in the west as well, very good for rentals. And I will say, like, the good things with Portugal, the things they're known for when you're here, but not when you're not, is one really good one is wine. So you don't hear much about Portuguese wine in general when you're not here. If you've been to Portugal, you understand where I'm coming from. It's a massive wine country, and it's a very reasonable price. If you know your wines or you like your wines, it's a good place to come and experience them. You can get a really good wine for about €5. Also, the cost of living is fairly low, and the lifestyle is brilliant. So it's a very outdoor lifestyle. It's because the cost of living is so cheap, you can go out for meals and enjoy your time here very much. So about property prices here. So the property prices are rising each year. They have been rising now considerably over the last few years, and will carry on to do so. A lot of people are asking about what this has meant in COVID. Well, to be honest, we haven't seen any reductions of such. It stayed very similar all the way through, and I'm sure afterwards it'll carry on raising at the prices they were before. Mainly due to the fact that it is a very sought after place to be. People from all over Europe, the US, China, lots of people want to come and spend time here or live here due to what it's like. It's one of the best places to retire to, and also to holiday. So it is a well sought after place. The prices, I would say, if you're down at the coast, you're going to pay more for a property. If you go in a little bit inland, you'll get more for your money. Not massively, but you will get more for your money. It depends on what you're doing, whether you're coming to live here or whether you're coming to do it to buy an investment. Obviously, an investment's always going to be better for you if you're down near the coast. You'll get your better rentals, so it's worth paying that little bit more. So the buying process, so it's a very safe place to buy as well. The Portuguese are very black and white, and when you're buying a property, that's what you need. There's no grey areas. Everything is by the law. And if you find a property when you're over here and you want to purchase it, you'll be asked to put an offer in. usually an offer on a new development is usually the asking price, unless you're buying more than one. If it's with a private vendor, we say between 5 and 10%, you might be able to negotiate. So once you put your offer in, it's been accepted, you will then be asked to put down a €6,000 reservation. Now that's a gentleman's handshake. It takes the property off the market so that you can then start asking the lawyer to do all the legal side of it and make sure that property is what it says it is. This is refundable, so if the lawyer comes back and says there's this, there's that, or whatever, and you feel that you don't want to go ahead with the purchase, you would get your 6,000 refunded back. However, if you decide that this is right for you, everything's above board, everything's great, then you will be asked to put down a 30% promissory, they call it, and it's a 30% deposit. That is not refundable, but by this stage, you know it's the property that you want to buy, and so you're quite happy with that. If you back out, you lose it, but if the vendor backs out, they have to give you the 30% back plus another 30%, which means it's a very easy way to purchase, because you know that people aren't going to let you down at the last minute. Once somebody's made a commitment, then they're committed. You then organise when you're going to do your final payment and go to deed. On deed, you go to the notary, or you have power of attorney. You get all the paperwork, you get all the you get the keys on the day, and everything is put into your name right there and then. So a very simple process. The buying costs are between 6 and 8%. So it's on a scale. So obviously, if you buy something at a lesser value of say 200,000, you'd be nearer the 6%. Whereas you buy something at 500,000, you'll be around the 8%. But that will cover everything, all your buying costs and everything. And you might even have a little bit more left over for your furniture and things like that. If you like to go for a mortgage and purchase your property with a mortgage, then mortgage is fantastic here. I mean, the banks are giving out money. The rates are between 1 and 5% on most of the time. You can get a property up to, you can get a mortgage up to the age of 80, depending on the bank. Some banks are 75, some are 80, to a maximum of 40 years. You can get some fixed rates, and if you pay your mortgage off earlier, it's only 0.5% that you have to pay back. It's a really good rate. So the mortgages are the way to go. People ask, can I get a UK mortgage on a property in Portugal? No, you can raise equity in the UK and use that equity to buy the property here, but the mortgage has to be in Portugal. I wouldn't advise getting equity in the UK or any other country, because you will pay a lot higher percentage mortgage rate than what you will here. So bringing your money over, so you want to put your deposit down, whether it's a mortgage or you're paying cash, you need to bring money over to the country. And you're better off using a currency company. We recommend moving currency. It means that if you go through the banks, you're going to pay a lot of charges, you're going to not get a good rate, whereas they will work with you, they will fix it at a good rate, they will tell you when to buy your currency, and it's a safe and easy way to get it paid for you. We do recommend a lawyer, so we have a lawyer that we can recommend. And I know we've had a question earlier about is that the right thing to do, because obviously we work close with the lawyer. All I can say for that is, if the lawyer wasn't good, we wouldn't use our reputation by using that lawyer. It makes it simple because we know the person, he works for you, not us, but we have a relationship where we can hurry things up much quicker than if it's with a lawyer that we don't know. But it is entirely your choice which lawyer that you choose to go with. The lawyer will be able to help you also if you're needing golden visa. The golden visa now has been reduced in the Algarve. You can still get it, and it's only for 400,000 that you have to spend on a property to get the golden visa, which is really good. I mean, it used to be 500,000, so it's made it a lot more accessible for people. That again, if you need more questions answering on that, we have a lawyer that can help you with that, and also with the NHR that has changed slightly recently. It used to be that you got tax-free on pensions, etc., and now they've added a 10%, but I'm not going into detail on that either. If you've got any questions on that, we can put you in touch with someone. I'd rather that than, because I'm not a great expert on those areas. So also, once you bought your property and you're wanting to rent it out, so you might have bought it as a holiday home, and for the weeks that you're not using it, you want to rent it out, or you might have bought it as a total 100% rental investment. Either way, we can help you rent that out. We have a rental management company, and they do absolutely everything for you. So if it is an investment, you don't have to do anything. All you do is receive your income. You keep 90% of your income, and you pay us an annual fee to be able for us to manage your property. We do meet and greet, everything that you'd expect from a rental company we offer, and we have a really good reputation. And we have a rental site, so if you want to look on there, you'll be able to see testimonials and things like that. Rentals here are really good because of the seasons. It's quite a long season. You can actually rent out all year. And we have the Scandinavians that come down in the winter. They swap the wellies for the flip-flops, and they come and spend a few months here, so you get a longer rental through the winter. And then we have the golfers that come out beginning of year, end of year, and then obviously the holiday the families and coming on holiday in the main season through the summer and what have you. So it's a good rental place. There's not many hotels, which helps. And the best place to buy a rental investment is Lagos. Lagos is very popular for holiday makers. It's a really nice place with a beach, nice town, and marina. It's got everything that you would want there. So that's rentals. So let's go back to buying a property and how we do that. So we do viewing trips. I know at the moment it's not easy to get on a plane and just shoot over, but that's going to change, and we're going to go back to normal. And we subsidise your viewing trips. So that means that we help you with the flights, we pay for your accommodation, we pick you up at the airport so you've got no transfers and you don't have to worry about anything. We show you property and the areas, the local bars and the restaurants and the beaches while you're here. So you're not just looking at properties, you're looking at where that property is, and you get all the information on rentals and everybody that you might need to meet while you're here, the lawyer, currency people, you can meet them face to face. We have a mortgage consultant who'll do all your mortgage, sort everything out from start to finish. You can meet with her, she can give you an approval before it. So a good, I would say, it's good for, it's economical, hey, sorry, it's economical and it's easy, and it cuts down the time of coming backwards and forwards. You can get everything done within that time. And I've got a webinar on in a few days, probably next week, on tax, because I know we're getting a lot of people asking about tax issues. I know one today was asking about allowable tax for capital gains, and I would say with that is keep all your receipts for everything that you do in your property once you've purchased it, including your buying costs, and they will all go towards your tax assessment when you come to sell the property. But again, I'd rather you talk to someone that's in that field and knows that a lot more than I do. So a few other good things about Portugal is, one is the language. So everybody always says, do you need to speak Portuguese to move to Portugal or buy somewhere in Portugal? And the answer is no. I've lived here 14 years and I don't speak Portuguese. I know I'm embarrassed to say, but my husband says I don't really speak proper English, so I'm trying. And everybody speaks English. They know the languages is not an easy language, and they do understand that. So as long as you try and give them the niceties, I know how to order wine, I know how to order a beer, and I know how to say hello and goodbye, and they're quite happy with that. I live actually in the countryside, so I live inland with the Portuguese. My husband does speak some Portuguese, so we get by, and it's really good fun. So thank you, and I'll answer some questions now.
Hi, so Sorry, I think there's a bit of a delay. Sorry about that. We're in the same office, but we are social distancing, different sides. So we have a couple of questions. Sonia's asking who's our lawyer, and I've said obviously it's Ricardo, who's recommended by Place in the Sun. So if you do have questions, we can introduce you to him. Rachel asked about the cost of living, roughly how much per month for 3 people without a mortgage to live off, utilities, food, etc. And I said probably around 400 per month. I mean, it depends what you do, it depends where you buy your food, what you do in your spare time. Angela, what would a typical month be like for you? Obviously, without the COVID, how many times would you go out for a meal? How much would you spend? What's the minimum you can live off?
Obviously, like Charlie says, it does vary. It varies on how you want to live your life and how many showers you have a day or whatever. But I would say the cost of living is very reasonable. So for me, I'm quite lucky though, I will say, when it comes to like water. I'm on private water, which you get a lot around here, especially if you live in the country, because a lot of water comes from boreholes, which are like wells. The Algarve is on a water table, so it kind of, you've always got water down there, and we never have problems with shortages of water and things like that. So I have it from a borehole. I got my first bill a couple of months ago now, because the guy who sells me the water, because it's private, decides to come whenever he feels like it, because that's what it's like. It's a laid back life. He'll say, I know where you live and I'll bring it when I'm ready. And my water bill was €109 for 9 months. And I have a swimming pool I have to top up, I have a pond, I have irrigation over 3,000 square metres of land. So water is, I find very cheap, and even if you're on the mains, it's not that expensive. Electric, I would say, is in par with what I know of most countries. It's not particularly cheap, but it's not expensive. The difference is you don't use as much of it. You don't have as much lighting on in the winter. You don't have the heating and things like that. So you don't spend as much on electric as what you would generally in a lot of places. IMI, which is the council tax. So IMI is a lot cheaper. You work it out as the fiscal value of your property. The fiscal value is what the government put the value on your home, and it's usually a lot less than what you've probably paid for it, because it's what it was originally. So older the house, usually the fiscal value is much, much less. And that's 0.3% if you work it out that way to the value. It's roughly that, but usually a little bit less. Then you've got gas, which we don't have central heating here. We have gas bottles, which is usually for as hot and as water, if we haven't got solar panels. A lot of new properties now are built. In fact, I think they have to be built with solar panels. But if you haven't and you use it for your water and your gas, I would say about €40 every 2 or 3 months to get a gas bottle. I use, in the winter, you do need heating, and I use a pellet burner. So they're quite popular over here now, and that costs me about, to have on nearly all day, it costs me about €1 a day to pay for my pellets. So it is a lot easier and lower cost of living here. Going out, drinking and eating, I can go out for €8. Again, it depends where you go. If you go down to the coast and you're sat on the beach and it's in a tourist area, you're going to pay a lot more than what you are when you go further inland. I can go to my local bar, I can get a glass of wine for €1, I can get a bottle of beer for 90 cents, and I can go out on €10 and have a pretty good night out. So the lifestyle and the cost of living here is much, much less than what it is generally in other places. And Charlie's now back.
Just shutting the door. There's people drinking beer outside. So just wanted to go over Peter's question just to make sure that that is true. I think so. Can the 400 be spent on 2 properties instead of 1? So spending 200 on one and 200 on the other for the golden visa?
Yes, it can. As long as you spend up to the 400, you can buy as many properties as you want. I mean, you're not going to get 10 for that, but you can do it on multiple properties, yeah.
And I wasn't sure about this one. If you reinvest, can you delay capital gains tax?
Sorry?
So if you reinvest, can you delay the capital gains tax? So I said if we can't answer, we can put him in touch with Ricardo for this.
Yes, you can. You've got 2 years to pay your capital gain tax from the selling of your property to actually having to pay it.
I keep forgetting to unmute and mute. Are there any expat groups that we can join in Central Algarve? Yes. So when I came over, I was completely alone. So I just went on Facebook, typed in English in the Algarve, you know, typed in, and there's loads. I'm probably joined to about 20.
Yes, the main one is AFPOP. AFPOP is, it can help you with everything, absolutely everything, and a lot of people do join that one. So yeah, but there's a lot of support and help when you come over. Like Charlie, I came over on my own as well and found it very, very easy to just blend in and find out everything that was happening.
Yeah, so if you do want to, if you want to join the Facebook groups before you come over, maybe type in anything and everything Algarve, expats in the Algarve and things like that, because Sonia's asked for the Facebook groups as well. Can you drink water from the tap? Yes. I forgot that you can't in Spain, so when I went there, the water wasn't very nice, but in Portugal, in the Algarve anyway, you can drink the water.
It is best to boil it as well, though, in some areas. You're best to check, because obviously it's different if it's through the mains or if it's on a borehole or how the supply's coming in. So in some cases you can drink it. They don't tell you not to, but in some cases you do need to check just to make sure that it is drinkable from the tap.
Are there brand new homes ready to move into? Yes, there are many of them. I think we work with about 15 developers here in the Algarve. All of the developments are completely new. So if you don't want a resale, then we've got new homes for you.
The building here is actually quite restricted, and that's what makes it so popular, because it's not like overrun with property. The developers are given very strategic guidelines on what they can do and what they can't do. So although there's many properties that you can buy and move into, it's not overrun by them. It's not that they are scheduled when they're given planning permission, so that it doesn't become too overcrowded or overbuilt or high-rise. They have a lot of restrictions on how high they can build, how near to other properties they can build. Usually you'll find now if it's a more than 4 floors, it would be at the top of an hill, so that it's not blocking anybody off. So they're very considerate when they're rebuilding places. But yes, there's new, old, medium, off plan, whatever you want to buy, you will be able to find it.
Other than the golden visa, what is the best visa to pursue if you want to travel the Shenzhen countries, reside in Portugal and continue doing business remotely?
That I would have to pass on to Ricardo. I wouldn't have the in-depth information to be able to answer that question. But we'll be able to get him in touch with you if we've got your details.
I think at the moment it's just, you know, we're allowed to be here, aren't we? I don't know, maybe things will change after Brexit, but...
Sorry, I thought you meant for people out of Europe. At the moment, the UK people can travel the same as they have done before. I think after Brexit, I don't think that's going to change with Portugal. Portugal and England have had UK have had a treaty for the last 700 years. They're the oldest treaty in the world, and most of the things like the national health and things like that they provide is nothing to do with the EU. It's to do with the treaties. The President said that nothing will change on that. That will continue going forward, which makes it a very interesting place to want to come to, because obviously if he's saying that, we know what's going to happen, but in other places you might not so much. But I can't see anything changing, but until Brexit happens, we can't really answer any questions direct.
It's Bonnie, and she said, no, I'm from the US. Sorry, I didn't see that. I think the golden visa is the only visa for people not in the Shenzhen area.
Like I say, I think we'd have to get Ricardo to answer that, because I do believe in certain different countries and what have you, there's retirement visas that don't actually give you the same as a golden visa, but do give you some kind of travelling permit, which is a bit longer than an actual like holiday visa. So again, we'll get Ricardo to contact you on that one.
So Peter's saying about if he was to reinvest, he says, no, I mean if I sell and then take the proceeds to buy another property, in that scenario, I'm not taking the earnings. In the US, it's called the 1031. Is there anything like that in Portugal?
Sorry, so you're saying if you sell a property and you want to reinvest that money into another property?
I think you said you got 2 years.
Yeah, it's the same. You've got 2 years to reinvest it. I'm not quite sure. Again, that would have to go through Ricardo, because it could change from country to country. I know in Europe, if you reinvest, you're a European and you reinvest your money within Europe, that you will not pay capital gains on that property at all at any point if you reinvest it within 2 years. Out of Europe, I'm not quite sure. So yeah, we would have to talk to Ricardo on that one.
Sonia's asking, what was the fiscal value ratio?
Do you mean the IMI? So it's 0.3%, 0.3% times by the fiscal value of your property. So if you're looking to buy a property, base it on the price of the property at that time, and it won't go over that. It'll more or less be under the fiscal value. More often than not, is always under the value of the property. So to help you work it out beforehand, just use it on the price of the property, and it will vary. That's an average, because it will vary. It's like we've got like Valdelobo, Lago, very upmarket areas, so you will pay more there than if you are, say, going inland or going to another area where the local the region is a lower value. So it just depends on where you are, but that's an average of what you'd be expected to spend. I think it works out at something like my house is, say, worth about 355,000. I've just purchased it, so I know how much it's worth, and I pay 300 a year. So it all just depends, really.
So what about insurance over fire, natural disaster and things like that? Is there an insurance that you need to have on your home?
If you have a mortgage, you have to have an insurance on your property. If not, it's your choice, obviously. Insurances aren't out here. I couldn't tell you an actual definite amount, but they're not expensive. It depends again. It's like whatever you want to insure it against, but usually they are quite low. But same with car insurance as well. You'll find car insurance is low, and the good thing with car insurance is that you insure the car, not the person. So if you come to live here and you've got your family coming over to visit, they can use your car without any problem, just the same as you can. It's about the car, not the driver.
This one made me laugh. Is Blue Coast very different than Algarve in regards to tourist beaches and value of homes? Do you mean Silver Coast?
It's the Blue Coast is further up.
Oh.
You will find, once you're out of the Algarve and you're not around Lisbon or Porto areas, you will get more for your money. You won't get the weather. So if you're looking for a better climate, you won't get that. And basically, it's kind of, yeah, you pay for what you get. If you're not bothered about the weather, you can end up being quite remote in some areas. So be careful of that, because it can be that you can feel quite isolated, because there's not a lot around in some of the areas. And also remember that they might not all speak English around you. So those are the disadvantages, but you can get more for your money in those areas, yeah.
What is the minimum annual income you need to pay tax on? I think that's obviously when you're renting a property out.
I think it's 10,000. I think you're allowed 10,000 before you start paying tax on a general income.
And then Lisa's asking, do properties in the East Algarve and inland rent well?
You're better off nearer the coast always for a rental. You want to be, when you're renting a property out, wherever it is, you'll be able to rent it at some point through the year, especially July and August. If you're wanting to rent it a lot of weeks, so if you buy a property, you want to use it most of the winter. It doesn't really matter where you buy it, because in the summer you're going to rent it out. If you're wanting to rent it longer than the summer, then you need to be near the coast. Further inland you go, less likely you are to be able to rent it out a season. You've got to think that most people that come on holiday, not everybody, there's always going to be some, but most people want to come on holiday to be near the beach, near the sea, near a town with bars and restaurants. So they're the things if it's the rental part of it is the most important, that's where you need to be able to rent it out for the most money and the most weeks.
I think that's it for the questions. Does anyone need to ask anything else? Are there rules for dogs on the ground floor apartments with garden?
I don't know the absolute rules on this, but I do believe that most places now do allow dogs. I think that they're starting to say that you can't not take dogs into most places, but I won't swear on that. I don't know whether it's a condominium agreement or whether it's it's a law. I'm not quite sure, but a lot of places do allow dogs, whether it's ground floor, top floor, whatever floor, and it just depends on the people around. I think usually if it's residential, you're more likely to see that people will have a dog there. Holiday places, you generally don't. So whether they don't allow it, I'm not quite sure. I can't tell you the exact rule on that.
Peter says, thank you very much, you two have been terrific, thank you very much. And then the yearly property tax.
So yeah, that's your IMI, like I was saying about the council tax. So like I say, it's 0.3% times by the property price on average.
Can you repeat the offer package to come in person and check out properties? So what are our viewing trips?
Okay, so it varies on price. We have offers now and again, but it's usually between 99 and 149 per person, and that includes your flights from anywhere in the UK and your transfers once you get here, and your hotel accommodation for 3 nights. We can do it for less, we can do it for maybe 1 night more, depending on the flights. We like you to be here for 4 days. So you come early on one day, you go home late on the last day, and you're here for 3 nights. It's ideal for us. And within that, then you get your breakfast. We take you out through the day. We show you properties. We show you the areas, and it's really quite good fun. You stay with one person, one consultant that will be able to tell you absolutely everything about whatever you see. And you'll also have like fun with them. And in the evenings, you can do as you wish. And we put you in a hotel so that there's restaurants around you, a nice like little beach resort. So it is fun as well.
Sorry, what's the viewing trip situation if you're coming from the US?
From the US, either you find your way here to Faro, or we can do it from the UK. If you flew into, say, Gatwick or London, we'd do the same offer. If you flew into Faro, it'd be the same offer, but we wouldn't contribute to the flights.
Jeff is asking, is it possible to get a part-time job on the Algarve? Who would I approach? I can drive and I have a technical background for heating, etc.
There is jobs doing all different things. You just have to get yourself out there and see what's available. Obviously, speaking Portuguese is always going to help people be able to get a job. But if you work in the tourist sector, you tend to work 6 months a year, and you won't have to speak Portuguese. So it just depends what you're looking at. But there is a lot of English-speaking people here, whether they're expats, they live here or whatever. So very often you can have a little business or work for a business that you don't need to speak Portuguese in. And yeah, there is work here. You don't get paid the same amount as you would in the UK. So if you are thinking of coming in to work, bear in mind that the wages aren't the same as they are in the UK. People come here for the lifestyle, and which you get and if you're willing to take less money to be able to do that, then that's fine.
And Ken asked me privately, these webinars have been great. Will you do some virtual tours of the Algarve developments like we've been doing for Spain? We've been thinking of it, it's just the logistics of taking the phone around and...
Yeah, I think it's something we've got in mind and something that we were actually wanted to start sooner than this, but it's the quality of bringing it to you that's the problem at the moment. So once we've combated that, we're open to do, like every time we get a new development, we do one, and also do it weekly, something that's around that people would want to see, or we've got anything with offers on or anything like that. But it is getting the quality, because we don't want it to be interrupted and poor quality coming to you.
We have a couple of people asking for the offer packages, so I've left my email, because obviously it will change depending on where you're coming from, what time of year it is, and obviously we'll have to have a chat before we can book a viewing trip. So I'll leave my email, and if you've got any more questions, you can just let us know.
Okay, well, thank you all for joining us this afternoon. We are doing a webinar, like I say, on tax next week. I'm sure that'll be a real popular one, because it's something that's quite in-depth, and we're getting the actual tax experts to be able to talk to you about that. We're also going to do one as well next week with an architect. So if you're thinking of buying land and building your own property on, he'll be able to give you advice on that and tell you about all the laws around it and how easy it is to do it. And if anybody's got any suggestions on anything else that they would like us to do a webinar on, just send Charlie an email and we will have a look at it and see if we can get experts from that area and help you answer those questions. And thank you very much, and we'll see you again soon.
Thanks everyone, bye.